Breaking overnight, the red wave hits New South Wales.
Chris Minns leads Labor to a sweeping victory.
An historic election victory.
Hello, I'm Paul Barry. Welcome to Media Watch. And Labor is back in New South Wales after 12 years of coalition government, with Chris Minns the state's new Premier. Yet only 2 weeks ago, the Daily Telegraph was asking...
Chris who?
And reporting alarming research, which apparently revealed...
Would-be Premier, an unknown quantity.
Splashed across 2 pages inside the paper were the numbers behind that front-page scoop on the Minns identity crisis.
Out of the 30 people asked in Cogra, 60%, or 18 people, didn't recognise Chris Minns.
So, which polling company reached that remarkable conclusion? None. It was Telegraph journalists, armed with photos, asking people if they recognised the two would-be leaders. And despite the absurdity of promoting that to front-page news, the TV bulletins that night faithfully followed the telly's lead.
But new polling in the Labor leader's electorate claims the majority of his constituents don't know who he is.
Chris Minns is a mystery man in his own electorate.
Do you know who this man is?
No, I don't.
It's the leader of the opposition.
In the last 2 months, there's also been a flood of national and local stories suggesting that Minns could lose his admittedly marginal seat, despite a statewide swing to Labor. And how did that prediction go?
Last night, the Premier-elect saw swings of nearly 20% his way.
With Minns winning a whopping 61% of the vote. Whoops. While the media was casting shade on the Labor leader and the party's chances, the polls had been predicting a Labor win for months. And the all-important final poll of the campaign from Newspoll was even clearer, as Sky's Kenny Heatley explained.
So the coalition up down 2.5% to 45.5%, and Labor increasing the margin 2.5%, 54.5%.
Newspoll's forecast was a big win for Labor, with 10 seats changing hands and a new majority Labor government. So, how did TV News on election night describe the contest?
The Premier and opposition leader crisscrossed the city today, making final pitches in battleground seats, with predictions the vote will go down to the wire.
We may not know tonight. In fact, we may not know for days, with the result most likely on a knife edge.
10 and 9 weren't the only media who ignored that final poll and claimed the race was too close to call. While the ABC also forecast a close result, reporting on unsourced
predictions of tight race to lead state's 58th Parliament.
But despite all such predictions, it was not.
Libs turn to mincemeat.
We asked polling analyst Kevin Bonham whether opinion polls over the last 6 months justified the media predicting it would be down to the wire. He told us...
At no time in that time was it reasonable to read the polling as saying the chances were evenly balanced, or that the election necessarily was, as opposed to potentially might be, very close.
So how come the media keep framing it like this? Last year, we were told, the South Australian and Victorian elections were also down to the wire. But they too resulted in thumping Labor victories, as the polls predicted. No doubt a close race is good for business, and of course no one wants to call the winner and get it wrong. But it also looks like the media have switched from trusting the polls too much to not trusting them enough. And now to freedom of information in the internal battle to keep the bastards honest. Ex-Senator Rex Patrick is fighting more than 20 FOI requests with government departments, and he says the system is broken. He's now challenging the government in the federal court, claiming that vast delays are shielding ministers and bureaucrats from scrutiny.
When you make a request for contemporary information, it gets returned 3 or 4 years later as historical information. Delay is the enemy of FOI.
And Patrick is not the only one throwing up his hands. 3 weeks ago, the Commonwealth FOI Commissioner, Leo Hardiman, quit his job in frustration amid a backlog of 2,000 cases awaiting decision, which prompted Greens Senator David Shoebridge to tweet,
"It is a shocking indictment of how broken the current system is. Laws that aren't up to the task, inadequate funding, cultures of secrecy from ministers and departments."
Almost everyone seeking information through FOI agrees. Paul Farrell from the ABC's investigative unit told Media Watch,
"I've lodged more than 500 FOI requests over the last decade, and almost every one of them has been a battle. Agencies use every trick in the book to delay, evade, stymie and frustrate access to important government information."
And Michael McKinnon, who has managed FOI requests for Seven, the ABC and the Australian, has found the same. He says
politicians in power want to control the message. They don't want voters to know about alternatives or possible problems or incompetence, crooked deals or lies. And bureaucrats fight against the release of FOI requests.
McKinnon cites the example of robo-debt, where an FOI request for early business plans made in 2017 that might have stopped the scheme in its tracks took more than 5 years and ended with only one of 12 documents being released. The Age's Anthony Galloway faced a similar battle, waiting 3 years for the AFP to cough up a letter to Home Affairs Minister Peter Dutton about trips to the Philippines by George Christensen MP. The letter found no evidence of criminal conduct, but said he'd engaged in activities that put him at risk of being compromised by foreign interests. And Paul Farrell has struck out completely on his FOI request for warnings given to Prime Minister Scott Morrison by ex-New South Wales Fire Chief Greg Mullins ahead of the savage 2020 bushfires. Farrell is currently fighting for 70 FOIs. He always finds it difficult, and he says nothing makes the gatekeepers any more cooperative.
I've been involved in countless complaints against agencies which have led to investigations by the Information Commissioner. I've noticed no material change in the conduct of agencies after these investigations, even when serious findings have been made against them.
So, what is the chance that this government will be any better? Last year, Labor's new Attorney-General Mark Dreyfus told the ABC's Law Report the government should make information available as widely as possible, which is what the Commonwealth FOI Act requires. And he added,
"What I'd be looking for in the freedom of information area is a change of attitude by governments, a change of attitude by departments that rather than looking to how little information can be given out, how to maximise the amount of government information that is made available to the public."
But in the 9 months since then, Dreyfus has foreshadowed budget cuts for FOI and done nothing to achieve that change, according to his critics. And while a spokesperson insists that's not correct and the Information Commissioner's powers have been strengthened, the Commissioner's resignation shows there's clearly still a problem. So, what's the chance that Rex Patrick's court action will make a difference? He told Media Watch,
"If we win, I would likely get a declaration that the time taken for the Information Commissioner to process my reviews has been unreasonable. Hopefully with that would come an order that the Commissioner complete my reviews by a specified time."
That, says Patrick, would serve as a useful precedent for others seeking information and apply pressure on the government to make FOI work better. We wish him luck. But now to that surprise visit to Ukraine by the Russian president, which saw Vladimir Putin driving through the streets of Mariupol, taking a friendly stroll and chatting with residents. It was a neatly choreographed visit, filmed at night to hide the devastation inflicted on the port city, with the footage broadcast by Russian state TV and praised by the presenter.
Президент ездил по городу как рядовой гражданин, стоял на светофоре.
Yes, he's a gentleman, all right. But soon, a tweet suggesting that it wasn't really Putin started going viral.
Which one do you think is the real one?
3 images of Putin, supposedly taken 4 days apart, and a suggestion that the neck and chin are different. Cue the Sun in London to have some fun at Vladimir's expense.
Jaw-dropping.
Putin mocked for using body double on Hitler-like visit to Mariupol as Ukraine minister spots bizarre chin clue.
And not to be outdone, the New York Post was asking,
is he Putin on a front?
While back in Australia, News Corp is running this viral social media video, Who is Ruling Russia? And Melbourne FM Radio News was reporting,
there's fresh evidence emerging. Russian President Vladimir Putin is deceiving the public by using multiple body doubles.
So, who was making the Putin body double claim? Answer:
Anton Gerashenko, an advisor to the Minister of Internal Affairs of Ukraine.
Or, as he calls himself on Twitter, the official enemy of Russian propaganda, who, in an interview last year, left no one in the dark about his mission.
I think propaganda is a more massive weapon and a more terrible weapon than nuclear bombs.
So, how much weight should you give to his tweet? Not much, according to France 24's fact-checking outfit Truth or Fake, who analysed the 3 pictures of Putin and traced them back to the originals. The first is taken from a speech in 2020. The second isn't Sevastopol, as claimed.
It's actually a photo from Putin's recent trip to Mariupol. It was flipped over, and we find it in this Russian news report from his trip. Here we have other angles from this news report where you could clearly verify that it is indeed President Vladimir Putin.
And the third is also from Putin's trip to Mariupol. And all this is backed up by exiled Russian investigative journalist Roman Badanin, who told CNN,
"We did some geolocation research and we have established that Putin was indeed driving through Mariupol."
And the grateful folks he spoke to?
These people really live in Mariupol.
So why the recurring body double rumours? Propaganda expert Ian Garner told me to watch.
The Putin body double story has cropped up a number of times. It works with the narrative that Putin is weak, enfeebled, isolated and unmanly. This is all in contrast to the images of Zelensky, the young, masculine leader, confidently talking to troops and walking around the war zone.
And that, says Garner, is why the media should be more careful about how they treat the claims.
My advice to tabloid editors is that during a conflict, these stories might just seem silly and vapid. But we don't know who it's serving or where it is coming from, and that is a really dangerous thing.
So, will that stop the tabloids running the story and getting clicks? I think we all know the answer to that one. And finally, let's go to breaking news on 7's PerthNow, which has the lowdown on a bad case of bill shock.
Perth driver slugged with whopping $430 parking fee after leaving car for month.
Wow, that is some fee. So, is this a local council investigation? Well, no.
Taking to Reddit, the driver posted an image with the caption,
"The cost of parking in the city these days."
Yep, no investigation, not even a tip-off. Just a photo and a caption posted on Reddit, padded out with comments ripped from the chat site. And, of course, delivered hot off the screen, taking only an hour to get onto PerthNow from the original Reddit post. Which could be why this crucial comment was missed.
"The machine was broken. The post is a joke. I parked there for like 2 hours, and once I put my ticket into another one, the cost was $4.50.
So, not parked for a month and not slugged for $430. Cue red faces at PerthNow? Well, yes. When we pointed out the error, they emailed us to say,
"We believe in owning our mistakes and learning from them. In this instance, we got it wrong and apologise for that. The story has been taken down."
And good on them for that. But it's not the only amazing yarn that PerthNow has hoovered up.
A picture posted to Reddit shows a massive huntsman spider between the fence post and sheet at a home in Perth.
Wow! And here's another, almost as good.
A picture uploaded to Reddit shows a blue symbol on a Transperth train. "Always wondered this, what it is," one person commented.
And since good things always come in threes, here is the trifecta.
Easter eggs. Redditors left stunned by expensive chocolate at Woolies, Coles and IGA.
Amazing. And what do Perth's Reddit users think about their conversations being mined for news? Not much, calling them
the PerthNow parasites.
This needs to be submitted to Media Watch.
Is this really the state of our journalism now?
At PerthNow, sadly, the answer is yes. And it's not much better on 6PR to judge by this call out to listeners on the station's high-rating breakfast show.
What is your most recent online purchase? 133,882. I actually purchased an item online last night.
Yep, sit back and listen in.
Mobile phones, underpants, socks, you name it.
And callers did, from jam jars to ink cartridges. But if you think it all sounds dull, you'd be wrong, because Charlie on the text line has been in touch.
This one got my eye. My last online purchase was a flashlight, Carl.
Flashlight?
Flashlight. It's like a regular flashlight, but the exterior is made out of a rubber for better grip and comfort. That is from Charlie.
Thanks, Charlie. Or maybe not, because if you don't know what a flashlight is, well, nor did Millsy.
I gather it's not flesh, Charlie, but it's probably got an appearance like flesh. Well done. We'll keep that conversation going on our Facebook page. What are you buying online?
Well, maybe don't keep that conversation going, because a fleshlight is a male sex toy. And a few minutes later, Millsy was fessing up to his mistake.
Now, I have to apologise. I didn't know that device is a device for men. I honestly didn't know. So I'm going to say it again.
What did you think it was?
I thought it was like a torch that you took to the beach and you didn't want to drop it in the water, and therefore it's got better grip. For those of you that are offended, I apologise. It's not something that I'll be buying.
Oh dear. But that would be a great story for PerthNow. Let's hope someone posts it on Reddit soon. That's all from us for tonight. You can read statements on our website from the Attorney General's office and polling analyst Kevin Bonham. And don't forget Media Bites, Thursdays on Facebook, iView and YouTube. But for now, till next week, goodbye.